Good morning and glad to have you on the program Perspectives. This morning we're looking at a key sector of the Nigerian nation, and that's the educational sector. Now, we're having problems. Nigeria itself is having its problems, but this sector has been bashed in such a way that we're beginning to wonder how long we can hold on to this great institution and surviving it, because the bashing that's coming from it is on all sides. We all do know that education is the bedrock for development of any country. And with what we have here, we're looking at poor funding, we're looking at poor educational infrastructure, we're looking at paucity of quality of teachers, we're also looking at poor and polluted learning environment. All of that is coming in. And then we're adding all of these to our educational system too. Cultism, exam malpractices, and sex for grades. All of that is still coming. And then the recent one, and that's the most worrisome of it all, is targeting the very foundation of educational system, and that's talking about even at primary level. That now the bandits are, terrorists, all names that we give to them, are targeting the very foundation of it all. And so, how worrisome can this be to a country that is relying and putting all its weight on having young ones, the engine room for development of any nation, being, cut short and being hit at the very foundation. We'll be talking about all of that in the course of the program. My guest this morning is Zwao Yawandi, is a media consultant and a public affairs analyst. We'll be looking at it here and what this can do, the consequences of this on a developing nation. So, good morning. Glad to have you.
Thank you very
on
much.
the program.
Very good morning to you.
It has become very worrisome, and we're getting it. We hardly go by the day without having bandits, hitting at schools, particularly in the northwest and the north central, and of course, we do know what is happening in the northeast. Now, for this division, for this zone of the country, we also have, talking about out of school children going in millions, out of school children, and then quality of teachers, all of these not sitting well. When we compare to what, the other parts, the other zones of the nation are experiencing, and what this particular sector, the Northwest and the North Central, of course the Northeast is also part of it. Tell me about the consequences of these on the larger society, and that's talking about the nation.
Well, it will sound pretty much like a broken record to begin to even mention these things, because the consequences are very, very obvious. Okay, even without all the restiveness from the northeast, east to the northwest, these two regions especially, okay, but also the north central, when you begin to consider states like Niger State and all of that, okay, even before the restiveness, there has been a perennial problem with education in northern Nigeria, okay, and that has accounted for where northern Nigeria is today in terms of the economics of this country, in terms of of course, in terms of the economics of this country and socio-economic development, human development index, okay. Every human development index in Nigeria falls on its knees when it comes to northern Nigeria. Of course, it is very, very much because of the poor level of education. I mean, from the 50s into the 60s, in the old western region, under Awolowo, he faced education very, very squarely. He said the primary concern of his government at that time was to be education, and he faced education squarely. And that is why I keep saying that, look at it however way you want to look at it, the southwest of Nigeria is ahead of every other region generally when it comes to education in this country. Now the north, whatever has happened, and then we have also the socio-cultural factors that have continued to inhibit the north. Yan makarantar boko ko ba karatu ba sallah sai yawon zagin mala. more like disparaging children at that time who were going to schools. But today, these are the people that are ahead. But the biggest problem is the leadership of the North. Okay, the leadership, the northern leadership elite. Today, the North eulogizes Sir Ahmadu Bello because of all of the things that he did. And indeed, the man, I keep on saying it, I think I've said it on this program or on this station at one time or the other, that this man was so passionate about his people that for him, instead of going to be Prime Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, he preferred to stay back in the North and be Premier, okay, so that he would develop the North. Of course, he was the leader of the NPC. And so he gave his all. He built the Ahmadu Bello University, built whatever, built everything, okay? But after him, and interestingly, the leaders that succeeded him were people that benefited from the policies that he pursued and all of that, okay? A lot of those military officers that ruled us in the 90s were people that were taken into the military by this same man, in the 60s. I mean, they ruled us in the 80s into the 90s. And all of a sudden, and even the politicians, okay? All of a sudden, they came and then did not care about what their mentor, their benefactor, because he was a benefactor to them. He put them ahead. Did not care about his legacies, to pursue them, to make sure that just as they gained the kind of education that they gained at the time, they did free of charge, okay? They should also make sure that, even if not free of charge, but that children coming behind them, are so educated, so that this region, northern Nigeria, progresses. And gradually, with time, we saw the pretty much total collapse of education, basic education in Nigeria, in spite of the UPE of the late 70s. In spite of the UBE, we still have a government organ, UBEC. In spite of all of that, where is basic education? So something is not just right. Okay, when I see the northern governors talk about things, talk about drilling oil in the north, talk about gold, where talk about solid minerals and stuff like that, I wonder. I think there is a governor right now in northern Nigeria that is talking about building a new state house. There's a governor, the governor of Bauchi, or I think it's the governor of Bauchi, talking about building a new state house today, when education is on its knees in northern Nigeria. I think that is a misplacement of priority, and honestly, for such policies or for such direction of governance, I do not think it is an honest misplacement of priority. I think it is deliberate, okay, for the pursuit of personal interests, okay, which only time will tell. But what do we need a new government house in any northern state today? For what? I mean, in the Second Republic, the recently deceased governor, Abdulkadir Balarabe Musa, when he was governor between 1979 and 81, right? I think it was in 81 that he was impeached. Yeah, between 1979 and 81. He never lived in the government house. He ran the state from his home. So it means that, not that it is necessarily right to do so, but all the pomp and pageantry of government house, who cares about them? Let us have good governance, and you can do it from anywhere. Just go to your office and do your work. And don't be talking to us about building a new government house right now, when everywhere is burning in the north, when children cannot go to school, when hardly does any governor of the north, in fact, the federal government, not to talk of even governors of the northern states, hardly does any of these governments, vote up to 10% of their budgets on on education.
No,
So
again,
it's a crying shame. Huh?
yes, I want to come on that that budgeting for education. Again, we've seen that it's not only in the northern states, it cuts across. But again, why so much emphasis not placed on education? And we also, all the governors or the leaders would have gone through the processes of good education and all of that. But why it has been brought to its knees is a question that begs for answers too.
It's a matter of priority. It's a matter of priority.
That education is not a priority for any government.
Mr. Tony, where do you spend your money? I mean, on what do you spend your money? On the priorities.
Choices for me.
Choices, right? Yes. In economics, there's what we call the scale of preference. Okay, you have your needs, then you drop your scale of preference. I need to spend on food in the family. I need to spend on house rent. I need to spend on this. I need to spend on food. And when you have anything left, then you can say, okay, I will do this, I'll do this, or I'll go hang out with friends, which is good, and do that. But you have to take care of the things that come first in your scale of preference. Okay? But when you decide to go from bottom to top, then your priorities are not properly ordered. So that is what I believe the problem is. Okay, you need to sit down and look at, out of school children. Okay, some of these things in the north, of course, there are socio-cultural issues. Okay, there are socio-cultural issues. We have a lot of children being sent from their homes to faraway towns or cities to go in the pursuit of religious education. It is education, okay? And it is ordinarily a good pursuit. The only problem is that it is not well done, okay? So at the time that these children need the warmth of their parents, they don't get it. And then the supposed education that they are to go and get, they are not getting it. They are on the streets begging. And that may be the end for these children. And there are a lot of things that cause parents to send their children out. Not necessarily that the parents really care about the religious education that these children should go and get, but probably the mother of this child has been sent off, has been divorced, and she's married elsewhere. She cannot go. The father has married another woman. The other woman will not necessarily give enough care to these children and stuff like. There are lots of things. I'm not saying that this is the only thing. There are lots of things, and there are people that really wish that their children get this kind of education before, but then they send them and the children never finally get to come back home. How many children will leave their parents at the age of 3 and come back in good shape? Okay, so these are some of the things. So these are some of the things that the governments in northern Nigeria, we are talking about northern Nigeria, these are the things that governments in northern Nigeria should really take care of first. Okay, they can take care of this through value reorientation. Okay, so that parents or people, value education for their children, because that is what is going to help make their children more competitive in future. That is what is going to help their children to be able to get some livelihood in future. And these children don't have to study to tertiary education level. Honestly, if we order our priorities right, you go to other countries, they don't necessarily have tons of graduates. You go to the United Kingdom, you go to the US. No, people learn trades, okay? But before they're able to learn these trades, at least they have literacy and numeracy at sufficient levels or reasonable levels. They can read and write, they can do some addition and subtraction. If not for anything, to be able to check to do their little bookkeeping, okay? And then they learn plumbing, they learn bricklaying, and they're able to pass trades tests like City and Guilds. We have our own trade tests here. So they don't know, everybody does not have to go to the university or to the polytechnic. They're able to do it. And that's why at a point, we these things were thought up in this country. At a point in this country, I don't know whether in this country as a whole, but specifically in Kaduna State, you know, the old Kaduna State, we had the BATCs,
Yes.
Business Apprenticeship and Technical Colleges. Yeah, we had them in every local government. We had all of this. These were supposed to meet this trades gap. You know, this trades gap, and then they are well, you know, standardized at different levels.
We had the Federal Training College.
We had the federal. We still have it.
Well.
The Federal Training College in Kaduna, but how well it is functioning and the quality of its products is another issue. So yes, but what we are saying is that these things were thought of, you know, in the past. Okay, because that time the policymakers knew that not everybody would be a graduate. Not everybody needed a degree. Okay, people could be plumbers, people could be electricians, people could. Do you know that to get people that, in fact, some of these are big people, big politicians and whatever, when they are building their houses, if they want to get somebody who will come and lay tiles for them in their houses, they will go to Togo or Benin Republic or Ghana. Because you know, these are our boys here, their tile laying, you know, they straight well, you know, they good too well. So they go to these other countries, Benin Republic here, Togo, Ghana. They go bring these guys and they'll go. Some of these guys have relocated into Nigeria and they are making a killing. They are making a killing. And these are the things that our BATCs are supposed to supply. These are the skills that our BATCs are supposed to supply. In fact, I got to a time where when Babs Fafunwa was the Minister for Education, you know, in the late 80s, you know, or in the mid 80s and stuff, they did the 6334 thing. The 6334 thing was conceived such that by the time a young person finishes JS3, he should have a trade. He should have a trade, either woodwork or anything that he can just drop off and go and continue. But did we continue with that? No, we didn't continue with that. And so people just do. So why do we even write JSCE now? Because the JSCE is supposed to really be trades test examination. Okay, Kaduna State started the implementation, and the first products from that system, you know, finished school in 1988. You know, that's the first 6 years before gradually other states of the Federation joined in. So probably Kaduna State should have been ahead, huh? But we are not there. But I think I hear the government of Kaduna State doing something in that regard. And hopefully very soon they will take some of these trades exams very, very seriously. So that you cannot... One time we were trying to build a small fence in our house, and they brought one bricklayer. By the time he put the second course of the bricks, you know, when I came, I looked at it, I said, who is doing this work? They told me, I said, please let him stop. Yeah, no, but he's a neighbor. Let him stop. Because by that time, the the bricks were already, you know, kinking. It's not straight. It's as if he didn't use a plumb line, you know, plumb. The one that they use to get, you know, straightness of whatever they're laying and stuff like that. So we have a lot. Buildings are collapsing every day. Okay, you bring an electrician to come and do wiring, do surface wiring. Instead of the cables to go straight, you see them, you know, zigzagging, very ugly and all of that.
Yes, yeah, I'll still take you back because, again, concerns about education in northern Nigeria. There was a glorious past. We acknowledge and we remember that. And of course, you talked about the premier of the north then. We saw the need for his people to be educated and to meet up or catch up with whatever was going in other parts of the country. And so when we had the Liberty Stadium, we had, you know, Ahmadu Bello Stadium, we had the radio, the television, Kaduna, and then, you know, we had the Kaduna Textile. We had everything that was, you know, key to the north here for development. And then the system then, it worked. There was healthy competition amongst the regions. We were saying that until again we derailed. And what we have now is, again, Nigeria was said to be an unholy alliance when it all started. But the regions are not working at the same time. Some are said to be moving too fast and fast. But again, we have a problem in the north. So with this arrangement, in this arrangement, is this not affecting even the development of a nation, where we may see one region not moving with the others, and so could this again be pulling down on development of a nation?
It is either a region is moving with others, or it is not moving with others, or it is in fact slowing others. I don't know whether you get.
I'm getting.
You get the point.
I'm getting it.
So the region or any region or state that is not, or that finds itself lagging, does not have to slow others. And that is why I am one of the people that will continue to say that we should have proper federalism, the way we had it in the First Republic. I will continue to say that. Even this education, I always make example with some other countries. I think I don't know whether I've mentioned it here. I observed, I did election observation in a state, in one of the states in Germany in 2011. Okay, in 2011, the talk in that state largely was really the educational direction for the election. That was the debate, the educational direction, and that was the richest state, the state of Baden-Württemberg, whose capital is Stuttgart. I know Stuttgart is the home of Mercedes-Benz, is the home of Bosch, is the industry. Stuttgart is the richest state in Germany, and the richest state, or this, I think the second richest after the state of California at that time. California has gone down the drain today, okay, because it lost its competitive edge, okay, at that time. Okay, they were saying, look, we are doing well now. We want to go ahead. So we need to look at our education system and see, where do we want to go to? Does this system, or will this system take us to where we are going to? If not, let us change it and introduce this, so that we get to where we want to get to. We are already seeing it. Okay, that was the debate. We're there, and then all of a sudden, this Fukuyama nuclear reactor thing, happened. Disaster. You remember the Fukuyama thing? I think it was March of 2011, and then it changed the debate totally to but anyway, I bring that just to say that different states in Nigeria, our governor or our government in Kaduna State, for instance, if we had that thing, our government in Kaduna State would say, look, this is the direction we want our state to go to in the next 20 years. And because of that, this is how we want our education system to be, so that maybe it is ICT, or we want to produce more medical doctors or female doctors or whatever. Wherever you want it to go, or it is robotics, or it is artificial intelligence, wherever you want it to go to, then you can even start from primary school to begin to introduce these things, so that children, by the time they finish secondary school and going into the university, and then you are kitting the university. You are kitting the university to be able to meet, the need of the future. That is why schools, universities are referred to as institutions of the future. Okay? Institutions of the future, because they are dealing with society. They are helping to provide, to tool society, for the future. That is why it is. So if any state says no, what we want is to make sure that our state is the tourism hub of Nigeria. It's left to them. Let them pursue that. So what they develop is tourism, hotels, different tourist attractions, and stuff like that. If they want to, we had a state like Cross River State. That's it. We want to do that, and so they did Obudu, they did Tinapa, and everything. We have countries like Kenya that just live on tourism, and it is tourism. You enter some hotels in those countries, you think that you are not in Africa because all of the occupants in that hotel are expatriates and all of that. So everybody will decide to pursue the goals that it wants to he wants to pursue. I'm talking about the different state government. So we need that this thing, and let it be from that. Let Kaduna State control the nickel that is in Kaduna State. Let Kaduna State control the bauxite that is in Kaduna State. Let Kaduna, and not federal government having to say. Let resource control. Okay, resource control. So what that means is true federalism. Let's have that. Let different, because some people, what do we need you beg at federal level for? Honestly. That the federal government, okay, maybe to set up policy at the strategic level, but when it comes to the tactical level, how to achieve some of these policies and all of that, let the states take care of that and stuff.
The concern again here, because we're talking about education being it, at the foundation of it in the north. And we're also looking at, developing the North and where it should be. And so the issue of restructuring has come up, that yes, we must restructure. And then for some states that are doing it, even in the North, I do not want to give examples now because I do not want to,
What do you mean doing it?
Because we see some states, even in the North, doing some things that will say that they are moving on, really moving on.
Yeah.
And then, some states are just like, let it go as it used to go. And so, how this affects even the development from this region again?
Yeah, well, it affects very, very seriously because look at the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. There are lots of things in the exclusive list of the government at the center. Okay, lots of things in the exclusive list of the government at the center. Okay, a lot of those things should be reduced. Is it security or what? Okay, we had our governor granting BBC Hausa service. Some weeks ago, we heard him when he granted an interview talking about this banditry and stuff like that, where some people, were calling for amnesty, for negotiation. He said, no, we can't do that. Okay, we can't do that because these people have gone, the way we say it in pidgin English, this dog, they hear whistle again. This is someone that was hardly spending 100,000 naira and is now touching millions. That was the example of the government. And then this is, how do you expect that person will reason with you and stuff like that? So no, we are going to use kinetic force and we are going to make sure that we stop them. But people around are not doing so, and therefore probably providing havens for them from which to be able to launch attacks and stuff like that. So these are the issues. And the state government does not, in Nigeria, state governments do not control security. Of course, state governments will not control security. But then even the police, state governments do not control the police and law enforcement like that. Okay? So what can they do? There is only so much that they can do before their hands are tied. And from every circumstantial evidence we are seeing, there are fifth columnists in the different agencies of government that are working with these people. We don't necessarily know them, but in Zamfara, I think there was a report of a military personnel, is it military or police? A security personnel, let me just say security personnel, that was colluding with some other people and supplying stuff. to some of these bandits. So if you see one, definitely it's not one. It's just a tip of the iceberg. And you know the iceberg, when you see the tip in the ocean, it is very, very huge. Huh? So that's the reality. These are circumstantial evidences. Okay, we cannot prove them or whatever, but these are the realities. And every day we are confronted with them. So whether we like it or not, if we want to move, you can't do the same thing over and over again and expect to get a different result. So you have to change what you are doing. And I think the time is more than ripe for us in Nigeria to change from what we are doing if we want to move forward.
The program is Perspectives, and it's coming to you on Invicta 98.9. And we're looking at education, and of course, what is coming out from this system, being badly hit, as some people would say, and of course, going to the foundation of it all when we, at primary school level now, that school is not safe, and of course, tying it to, all that has been said about, the Boko Haram thing, and of course, why targeting schools now, just the consequences of this and of what will happen, at the higher level of if this is allowed to continue. The papers talk about it, radio talks about it, and of course, abduction of students, kidnapping, and all of that. Teachers too, and so what's happening to the education system, and particularly what is happening to the north in all of this. The arrangement is that Nigeria is a nation, but we can have this, hitting one part of the nation. The consequences it would have on other parts of the country is what we're looking at. And Zwa Yawandi, media consultant and public affairs analyst in the studios, shedding light on this. We'll come back after this commercial break.
We are the station.
The program Perspectives this morning on Invicta 98.9, and we're looking at the educational system, and we're saying that this institution is hit, and hitting it as hard as it is now. The consequences of it, on the development of a nation that's craving for, high productivity on its citizens and all of that. We've talked about poor educational infrastructure, poverty, paucity of quality of teachers and all of that, poor and learning environment and all of that. We also know that exam malpractices are also doing its own damage to the system. But again, the bandits or the terrorists, hitting on schools now, where abductions of teachers, students, all going on now, and a paper is screaming very loud today that bandits have hit 5 schools in Northwest and North Central, and so what all of this is doing to the nation, especially again, we're putting it here in the North, what we're facing here, and yes, so again, hitting on schools, now it's about schools and teachers, abduction of school children and teachers now. What statements, are we getting from these bandits or terrorists, if you want to call them?
I don't know, honestly. In the case of Boko Haram, we know that clearly they are against modern, or let's say Western education. Okay, so it is clear to say why to see. But these ones, the bandits in the Northwest, I don't know. Are they a strain of Boko Haram? I don't know. Or are they hitting schools for the impact of it? Because, with little energy, you can hit schools. When I say little energy, little resources, little logistics, you can hit schools for mass. In fact, anything that has got to do with children is very, very emotive, is very, very impactful, and all of that. Okay? And then boarding schools or whatever, in a school you can just go and herd plenty students to wherever you want to herd them. So is it just because of the impact? I don't know. But yes, the impact is something. So based on What I don't know, I will just simply say that is for the impact. Okay? And then, when students are somewhere, these are people for the future. You see that society is really being dealt with strategically. Okay? But whether there is also the kind of agenda that Boko Haram is pursuing, we are yet to know. So really, I don't know.
We're talking, I mean, we say that when you say putting it at 10 million, out of school going children, we already have that problem. And this time, this is again what we're getting. School is not safe again. And of course,
Niger State has closed all her boarding schools.
those are the things that I'm coming
and
up with.
even in Kaduna State, I don't know, but I saw something like a school like Grace International, which is around that Afaka area, has been told to close down. I don't know. I saw something like that on social media. I'm not very certain, but I think it's almost true. And anyway, if I have my child schooling in that place, I'll go and pick that child. Okay? Or in outskirts of the school. I mean, here, which school was that? Around Goningura, where they kidnapped some children in Chukun local government. Okay? It happened like that. Some children with their staff, with their teachers. Okay? So the impact is very, very significant in that case. Now, whether it has to do with adding to the number of children that are no longer in school, either for any ideology or whatever, I don't know, honestly. But it's not funny. It's not funny.
Yes, not funny. It can never be funny. That's it. But when we look at all of this, and we're talking about development and why we need our young ones to be in school, and again, this is to the wider society that school, that our children finding school as an interesting place to be future leaders and all of that, when they see that there are quick ways to make money and to make impact in the society negatively, that.
Yeah. Of course, you want to begin to consider people who even join these bandits in kidnapping for ransom because they will get easy money, right? You are talking about people who engage in advanced fee fraud, 419, all the Yahoo boys and all of that. Okay, it's simply because the value, the value system of society, of the Nigerian society, has been turned on its head. For me, okay, the value system has been turned on its head. I mean, you see people around who really did not go to school or not talking about going to school, but did not really work hard. And all of a sudden, they are boxed up. They have so much money. And then society adulates them. Society praises them. Society, gives them titles. And then before long, they are either contesting for election or whatever. Or, in fact, it is after they have contested for election that they go into these things. And other people do not have access to be able to, because, look, if you look at Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, by the time you conquer the basic physiological needs, then you go to the emotional and psychological needs. You want to be told, you are the whatever, you feel very big, and so people also want to have those things. Everybody wants to have those things. And in a society where there is no clear-cut access, legitimate access, so that if you enter from here like this is where you will end. Enter from here, you will get it. When you see that you are qualified and someone who is not qualified gets it, then there is despair and despondency. And different people treat despair and despondency differently. Some will channel their energies into negative endeavors, and we have what we have in our hands.
Again, I come to policies of government. I'm looking at this, again, particularly talking about the North and where it is in the affairs of the nation, that it's getting, being hit and being slapped with negative talks. You remember at one time, it was said to be the parasite of the nation, or it's parasitic too, and all of that, But again, the best of brains are all around and abound in the country. There's nowhere you can find them. But why?
I make an example, and I hope that northern leadership, northern elites, the northern elite, hears me. Okay? And I'm saying this more specifically concerning the Muslim North. Okay? I'm saying it more specifically concerning the Muslim North. Because whether we like it or not, facts don't care about your feeling or your feelings. Okay? It is among the Muslim North that we have this high number of out of school children. But I have news for them that maybe they have not considered it. Maybe they have not considered it. That's what I'm thinking. It is in the North that you will find a child of 12 years old that has memorized the Holy Quran. Memorized the Holy Quran perfectly. You call him, he will read the Holy Quran in a language he does not even use every day, but he may memorize. It takes serious brain power to achieve that. If any child or any person at that age can achieve that feat, there is nothing. I say this with a lot of passion and emotion. There is nothing that child cannot achieve intellectually in this world. There is nothing that child cannot achieve intellectually in this world. The seriousness with which you send him to go and memorize the Quran. After he finishes memorizing the Quran, send him to do physics, send him to do mathematics, send him to do that. I mean, we have the Jelani Yusuf. Is it Yusuf Jelani? The guy at Chevrolet, the auto designer. We have many others. I think recently I saw a certain young lady, performing wonders from northern Nigeria. Okay? If at 12, 13, 14, northern children can memorize, even if it is half of the Quran. Look, my brother, there is nothing they cannot do. So why do you need to step down JAMB scores for them? If they need to enter university, you say some people should get 250, but they should get 150. Why? Meanwhile, these same children compete with children from Arabia, whose first language is Arabic. These same children compete with children from Indonesia, from Asia, and all of this. And they come first. Since the 80s, we started seeing children from northern Nigeria coming first in Quranic recitation. Since the 80s, so up till now, they are coming first in Quranic recitation. They can come first in MIT. They can come first in Harvard. They can come first in Silicon Valley. They can do it. Let them compete. But the moment you begin to say, no, okay, these people are advantaged, these people are not advantaged, those people, okay, JAMB score, or this university, okay, will allow children with 150 because they are from disadvantaged states. That is a child who can memorize a whole Quran. And you say he's disadvantaged? For goodness sake, put everything for him. He will do it. So when we begin to allow these children to stray like that and go from 3 years of age and whatever, this is the brain power that the North is losing. I hope that the northern elite is listening so that it knows what it is wasting. But not just the elites because they have responsibility, but northern parents. I hope they know what they are wasting. Okay, because that is huge. And we're in the 21st century, and the 21st century is a century of knowledge. It's not a century really of resources. Okay, people like China, people like Singapore have read it themselves. Knowledge is driving their societies. That's why they are where they are.
Yeah, quickly, time up the ceiling for me, but can squeeze one or two calls in. The concerns about education and why the bandits or terrorists are hitting at the foundation of it at primary school level, kidnap, abduction, and all of that going on at that level. And so the consequences of these for a region. These are our concerns today. My guest, Yawande Zwao, media consultant and public affairs analyst, sharing thoughts with me. Taking your calls now on 081 40,000 or 070 87 800 989. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Toyalabi.
Good morning.
Yes, I greet you again. My name is Musa Bala. My greeting to Victor family.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Yes, he has explained very well on the issue of education. And I want to add up that we have to understand that education never have one single way approach throughout the whole world. It is true, the northern Muslims are yet to agree in good number that the acceptance of Western education. Probably that is why you are seeing the number is high, and plus their population too. By the time that a populated community have a high number of people, definitely whatever will come from them, definitely you will see high number. And at the same time, we should be able to understand that Western education is not the only form of education. We have to say a child of 12 years might have memorized the Quran very well. That is another way. And what about the kind of education we acquire through skills? I'm very happy recently when I see Kaduna particularly decided to run a program where they now collectively call people that are skilled in one way or the other to give them a sort of training and even issue them certificates of skill acquisition so that will now help and change the society. As far as I'm concerned, Western education is just one way of getting educated. And up to tomorrow, and I don't know whether in near future, an average Hausa Muslim community will prefer the Western education above the Islamic education. I think the Islamic scholars need to be co-opted by our leaders to show that, yes, this Western education too is very important. How do we run it hand in hand? But definitely we have a long way to go. And at the same time, any form of education is very important. The worst of it is to allow somebody to start getting educated. Thank you very much.
Okay, Musa Bala. I'll just take one more and then our guests can, take on that. Hello, good morning.
Hello, morning, Alavi.
Good morning.
I'm Job International.
Job International, let's say.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. My take is about on this issue is we blame ourselves as Northerners. We the Northerners, we blame ourselves. Sincerely speaking, because if you observe what is going on, sir, in the history, those who hold this country, 80% are from the North as presidents. When you come to services and all, let me give you an example with the present administration.
Let's go. Just hit the point, Joe.
What I'm saying, yeah, because if you are the president and you don't value education to your people, what do you expect? And, sir, issue of kidnapping students, Boko Haram is against a Western education. And these people, you cannot separate these people and Boko Haram. That's the truth. Because their ideology has become one now. So instead for him to declare them terrorists. But instead, they have now get a very conducive environment operating anyhow in the country. How can you travel with more than 300 people from more than 50 kilometers, 100 kilometers? But you, now, if you carry tire inside your motor to go to Abuja, they will say, where's the receipt? You will see checkpoint more than 30. And they cannot stop these people. And our security agents don't know. Okay. Our government doesn't know.
Okay.
And most of these people are foreigners to come and disturb us. Let president stand up and say the truth and nothing but the truth to Nigeria. Because this thing is very suspicious. Thank you and God bless you.
All right, Joe, we thank you on that. Just come to you as well.
Okay, let me start from Joe. When he said, if you are the president and you don't value education. Well, honestly, in my own opinion, there is very little, there is only so much that any government at the center can do. Let us not deceive ourselves. We have tried to do it for a very, very long while now, and we have not gone anywhere, okay? The matter of education must be brought lower and lower, to the lower and lower tiers of government. Even though on paper we have it that local governments should manage primary education and then secondary education, state governments and stuff like that. I think if we find a way of making that work, that is the only way that we can achieve, this. Because really is at the basic, there are a lot of children. If you go to children from schools like Nazareth, Dambo, other schools around, some good schools, today, even if they don't continue schooling, okay, primary, even if they have gotten the basic foundation that with very little helping, they will go further. But if they don't have that foundation at the beginning, okay, there is only so much you can do towards the end, tertiary and stuff like that. So that's it. So I think that we should make sure that education is really, really cascaded down to the different tiers of government so that everybody takes care of what they are supposed to take care of. And therefore, it means that the structure of governance has to be revisited so that local governments have their funds, state governments have their funds, and like that to run education. And then on what Musa Bala said, Western education is not the only form of education. Yeah, that is true. It's not the only form of education. The only problem, Islamic education is also a form of education. The only problem is that in as much as the world today is concerned, there is a form of education that will assure you better livelihood and competitiveness. Will Islamic education grant you that? Where are the physics? Where are the chemistries and all of that? Our children should have religious education, no doubt. But they should not be denied of the kind of education that will assure them livelihood. Look, if a man is not able to work, even to serve, to work and to take care of himself and his family, and look, even to serve God will be difficult. You want to go to bed on an empty stomach, or you want to go home, look at your children and they are hungry, and how do you even pray? Okay, in fact, some people can curse God. Say, this life that I'm living, what is it for? So, but you need to be kitted enough to be able to compete in the space. Whether we like it or not, if you want to call it Western education or whatever, it is Western education that can assure us that even China has copied Western education, even though adapted it to their own Chinese and different kinds of things. So let us not deceive ourselves. Religious education is religious education. It is good, but functional education that should help you to be competitive is there. And if you don't have it, sorry.
So
and on the final note,
yes.
I talked with one of my friends in Lagos, and we were talking about this whole thing. He said, look, what we are going through is more like a woman in the labor room in Nigeria. That in the labor room, it is hot for the woman, but a child will be born, and everybody will rejoice afterwards. So I joined my optimism with my friend's own, in spite of how I feel. And I urge Nigerians to join their optimism with my friend's own, that yes, we are in the labor room today. We are experiencing the pangs of labor, and very soon a baby will be birthed. We'll have a new Nigeria in which all of us will rejoice and hold each other as friends and brothers.
Beautiful note there, I must say, and it's not over yet, and be optimistic about it that yes, it's a better Nigeria that will come after this labor. So thank you.
Thank you, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And that's about the size of perspectives this morning, looking at education, particularly in the North, and how it's been dealt with on the negative side, and of course what the consequences of this may be to us in this region. And sharing thoughts with us, Yawandi as well, media consultant and public affairs analyst, doing that for us today. Food for thought for you and I. Thank you, Ken Chat, for connecting us with the people this morning. Wisdom, putting us in the pictures. Thank you. We'll come back with perspectives tomorrow. Good morning.
Power 98.9. Power 98.9. Quad City.
It's Victor 98.9 FM.